All right, we're good.
Thank you, Carly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this special meeting of the Quorum Court to order, and I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance. The purpose of this meeting is to consider a resolution for a grant application for a storm shelter in Evansville and appropriation ordinance to complete the infusion of for the 2016 from the general fund for the employees' health insurance fund. The prayer and the pledge is going to be handled by Mr. J.P. Joe Patterson. Mr. Patterson.
Lord, we just thank you for the day. We thank you for the beautiful weather for this time of year, Lord. Lord, just help us do our jobs as we have a job to do here in the next few weeks and months. Get in the budget and help us to get it to the best it can be. And we just thank you for what you're going to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, J.P. Patterson. The next thing, Carly, would you please call the roll?
Daniel Balls.
Here.
Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran.
Here.
Robert Dennis.
Here.
Lisa Ecke.
Here.
Ann Harbison.
Here.
Sharon Lloyd. Tom Lundstrom. Eva Madison.
Here.
Sue Madison.
Here.
Joe Maxwell. Gary McHenry.
Here.
Joe Patterson.
Yes.
Butch Pond.
Here.
Bill Ussery.
Here.
We do have a quorum present. Thank you. The next thing we have is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a motion and a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We changed the agenda a little bit tonight. We're going back to the way it used to be a long, long time ago. So what we've done tonight is we're going to have citizens' comments before the meeting gets started. And while we're doing that, what you will have is a 15-minute comment period that will be for everyone that wants to say something, but each person will have 3 minutes. If you have something on a pro and con, you reverse back and forth. So I'm going to recognize anyone from the audience. Come forward and introduce yourself and proceed.
Hi, y'all. I'm Louise Mann, and I own 16 acres up on Mineral Springs Mountain on Green Road. The address up there is 12931, and it's County Road 34. I've got some slips of paper here with that address on it, and I hope some of you, and especially the media, will pick up one and go to Google Earth so you can see the timber work that's happened on the land just south of me. I want to encourage the media as well as the appropriate departments in Washington County, maybe planning and environmental affairs, to please do some education and outreach regarding good logging practices that don't harm the natural and human habitat surrounding the cut area. Of course, that would include the watershed. I hope that I don't have to worry about boundary issues and timber theft on my land, but to tell you the truth, I am kind of concerned now, and when you look at Google Earth, you'll understand why I'm concerned. Unfortunately, my neighbor south of me up there on Green Road is an out-of-state landowner, so he wasn't there when the cut happened on his property. As development pressure increases, so does the need for education about good timber practices that enhance areas rather than destroy them. We all know an ounce of prevention is worth millions of taxpayer dollars in cleanup. Our plant and animal habitats in the Ozarks, as well as our watershed, are so precious. Hopefully, we can show our love and appreciation for these resources by protecting them and being respectful of our neighbors as we do timber cutting on our properties. Thank you for listening, and thank you for serving on the Quorum Court. Marilyn, may I just leave these slips of paper in case anybody will Google? Thank you. Oh, okay.
Madam Judge, real quick, Sharon Lloyd just said she's on her way, but it's traffic that's holding her up. So.
The next thing we
Thank you, Judge. You'll find 6.2 is a letter to Renee Bybee from Roger Baird talking about this, and if you haven't read it, I urge you to do so. Attorney Sega, would you please read Resolution 6.1?
A resolution authorizing the submittal of a hazard mitigation grant to the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management. Whereas it is the desire of the county judge and the community of Evansville to submit a hazard mitigation grant application to the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management, and whereas said grant will fund 75% of the cost of an emergency storm shelter for Washington County to be located in Evansville, Arkansas, and whereas the amount of grant, if awarded, is projected to be $30,000 with a $7,500 match requirement by the county. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, Article 1, it hereby authorizes and approves the submission of the grant application as stated above.
Thank you, Attorney Sega. This resolution, although it's not without cost to the county, will give a very nice shelter to be managed by our Evansville Volunteer Fire Department, and they'll take care of that in circumstances where we would have an emergency that would require that. They're going to be active anyway, so I think it's a good fit, and I would move to pass 6.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Renee?
In reading the resolution about an hour ago, I realized that the number needed to be $8,250 instead of $7,500. If we could amend it to that.
There's no problem, is it, Steve?
I just need to hear from the second, Mr. Cochran and whoever was the second, that was okay.
Yes. 8,250
Yes, sir.
is our match. Is that because we're asking for more than 30,000?
Yes.
Okay, so what are we asking for? We need to adjust that as well.
I don't have
Four times
those
8,250?
quotes. I know that our match, according to the grant that I've been offered, was $8,250.
Okay.
33,000.
Okay, now,
Okay,
Ann,
so
did
I
you
would-
second that, or was it, okay, okay,
Yep.
Mrs. J.P. Maxwell?
So I would move that we amend 6.1 to be a total of $33,000 with a $8,250 match.
Okay. Any discussion? Carla, would you call the roll, please?
Daniel Walls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd. Tom Lundstrom. Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison. Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry.
Yes.
Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Usry.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment. I want everyone to know that I think this is a very good move after some of the terrible weather that they've had out in that part of the county since I've been county judge. I think this is something that can save a lot of lives, and I just want everyone to know how honored I am that you see fit to go ahead and do something like this. Thank you very much. The next thing I have an appropriation ordinance. Rick Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Item 7.1 is a budgeted item. It's not out of our reserves, and I'll have Attorney Zega read the ordinance, please.
An ordinance transferring the amount of $821,502 from the general fund to the employee insurance fund for 2016. Article 1, there's hereby appropriated the amount of $821,502 from the general fund to the transfers out line item of the transfers out budget for 2016. Article 2, there's hereby recognized additional revenues of $821,502 to the transfer from general revenue line item of the employee insurance fund for 2016.
Thank you, Attorney Zega. We had the great foresight and the great recommendation from Nelson Driver to budget this last year. We have had to infuse over the past several years into our insurance program, and that's what this will do. This will bring it up to the amount that we need to be for the insurance company, and I move to pass 7.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? J.P. Madison?
Why is it coming from the general fund if it was budgeted?
What?
So apparently last year in the budget process, you actually budgeted it on the budget side for the insurance fund, but on the cash side, it was never done. And so unfortunately, this will come out of unappropriated reserves to move on the treasurer's end to the insurance fund.
Comes as a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Yep, so our reserves will be hit by $800,000? But we budget.
Well, you budgeted it from the projection side of things. On Bobby's side of things, he's dealing with actual cash. Therefore, what was in the general fund was in the general fund. It was never set aside for an infusion. You budgeted it, but we didn't set it aside in the general fund in the beginning through the process. Well, now that was caught on the budget end, it's there. On Bobby's end, it's not. So for us to get it into the insurance fund, it's going to have to come out of unappropriated reserves.
I'll say this is all the more reason that we're going to have to find some other creative solutions to deal with our healthcare costs. This just constantly, oh, you just got to raise this, put more money in, that we haven't considered any creative alternatives for wellness, for anything until now is just, it's really disappointing. I mean, we're talking about infusing $800,000 that was, we tried to anticipate it, but yet it's still coming out of our reserves.
I'm going to have to call for point of order because I'm going to rule that she's right. Because I think we're...
How is it off topic?
Well, I wasn't, Judge. I was just saying you had to recognize the point of order. You didn't have to rule on it yet. But the general discussion of health insurance and health insurance funds is probably appropriate at this point.
Okay, I'm going to recognize J.P. Madison again. Okay. Go ahead, J.P. Madison.
I mean, I think we all know that we have very serious insurance issues to cover, and this is just the beginning. And we're going to have to do something other than just putting more money in. That's just not going to work. And I think we're going to have to call in some consultants or somebody to help us through this, because I heard from employees that we can't continue to do it this way. We have to do better. We have to do better for our employees, for their health, and for the financial health of the county. So that's not something this court can do necessarily, other than just ask for it to be done. But dealing with the health insurance plan and how it's formulated actually falls to the county judge, not to this court, and we need to have some real action in that area. Thank you, Judge.
J.P. Harbison.
The reason I said point of order, we're discussing whether to infuse this money, not whether it's why other alternatives to this. That's not our discussion tonight. Our discussion is to put this money in, and we all knew that it was coming. We discussed it at the last Quorum court meeting, so therefore I thought we were off topic. Thank you.
J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. Ms. Barber, I want to get you to back up and what did I say?
It's okay to
pronounce it for me. I'll get it right.
It's Barber.
Barber.
Yes.
Okay. I want to back up to what you said about how this was treated in the budget. We acknowledged we needed the money, but we left it in an uncategorized or...
Well, you did it on the budget side of things. So when you were budgeting the process off of the projections that were given, you budgeted it into the insurance fund. However, for example, when you do the gel infusion, you immediately set it aside from the general fund. Unfortunately, the insurance fund was treated a little differently last year through the budget process. So with that being said, it never was set aside like the gel infusion is. So now we're coming back to say, you did approve to have the $820,000 moved into it, but because it wasn't actually done properly, that's where we are right now.
Were we anticipating that we could do a line item transfer from elsewhere, or we...
Well, typically for Bobby to move the money, you have to do a court order, as well as this ordinance, to move the money. And like I said, that was never done last year through the budget process. So we're doing it now.
Okay, I'm trying to understand how such an error could have been made, or whether it was just an oversight,
I think
or
it was
whether we've got bad budget books, or
no,
we were just sloppy.
No, I wouldn't. I would say it was just oversight everybody makes a human error. I think it was probably an oversight that happened, and now we know how to move forward if we do this
But we were
process
led to
again.
believe we had more unappropriated reserves than we actually did. Is that fair to say?
Well, the reports that I give you reflects what is there on the budget side. What you're seeing on the cash side, of course, is a different result, which is Bobby's side, the treasurer.
He deals in cold hard cash.
Yes, and we're basing our budget off of projections that he gives. So you're going to see that difference.
Okay, well, who can make sure that that doesn't happen again?
I promise you I'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Whether or not we got it in the budget right or not, the fact is we do have to move this money in there to keep our insurance program both solvent and allow them to be able to get as good a rate going forward in the next term. So I don't know of a budget in our entire county that can stand a hit like that, so we're going to have to take it out of reserves. And Judge, I call for a question.
He called for the question, so that no further discussion. So,
You have to vote on the
okay.
off debate.
Carly, would you call the roll on for the debate? Call for the question.
Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
No.
Lisa Ecke. Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
No.
Tom Lundstrom. Eva Madison.
No.
Sue Madison.
No.
Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry.
Yes.
Joe Patterson.
No.
Butch Paulins.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
It takes 2/3, Judge, it failed.
Okay, so the floor is still open for discussion. Yes, Jay. I'm sorry, Lisa.
Ms. Huffaker.
Lindsay, when you want to come forward. Can I recognize her? J.P. Dennis, okay. Lindsay, you're recognized.
I'm coming into this tonight. I didn't realize this was an issue until literally just now as well. But I want to speak to something that's came up at the last two meetings, and I wish it could be discussed differently, but I feel like it has to be said in front of all of the JPs. Since I've been here in 2005, I've seen this year will be probably our third proposal for a wellness program. Two different times, Nelson Driver has came in and said, we need a creative method of dealing with the health insurance fund. We brought a proposal from Trestle Tree. They did a complete presentation to the Quorum Court that included smoking cessation, wellness, diabetes management, etc. Said we need funding for this if we're going to go forward about 2007-ish. It was voted against by the Quorum Court. 2009, we came back with another presentation from Bravo Wellness. Bravo Wellness presented the product, same thing, smoking cessation. I can actually remember a quote that was made during the Quorum Court meeting by a justice of the peace that they felt there being a penalty for somebody smoking was equivalent to discrimination. And the court voted down the wellness program. And so I want you to realize that twice a wellness program has been pitched in the last 10 years to this court. And both times it was shot down by the Quorum Court because there had to be a funding mechanism in place to make it effective. That being said, I hate to say there's this idea that there's not any thought or discussion being given to a creative method or an alternate plan. Twice it's been pitched, but both times it failed. And so I don't want the Quorum Court to have this idea we're not looking outside of the box. I can tell you right now, there's a number of elected officials that are big advocates for rewarding good wellness behaviors and then making people pay if they're going to, pay for the insurance they're going to utilize if they choose to have higher risk factors. Diabetes obviously may not be a risk factor somebody can control. There's definitely people that have a medical disposition. I've dealt with that, okay? There's people that have a medical disposition that make very healthy lifestyle choices. And there's options available to help them hopefully try to manage those. And we reward those people that are doing their best to control behaviors. But if it's a funding mechanism, it has to go before the court. And there has to be that support of the court to proceed forward. Last week I heard something said about a flexible spending account. The county had a flexible spending account for years. We had a medical reimbursement and dependent reimbursement, and we offered those options. We were dropped. We couldn't get participation. About roughly 2010, there were some laws that changed, and basically the company we were working with introduced a fee, a monthly fee on employees for participating. The company we were using was bought out. That decreased utilization. They were bought out. The company that bought them out came back and said, if you can't get this level of utilization in your member population, we will no longer service the plan. We couldn't get utilization. We even held a second special enrollment period, and employees would not participate in the plan. It's wonderful to think about when you're paying, $500 to $1,000 a month for daycare, of having it taken out of your check pre-tax. The reality is a lot of our employees aren't paid enough that they can pay for it to come out of their check, turn around and pay the same fee up front to their daycare, and then send in receipts and wait for it to be reimbursed. But both companies we worked with, that was the only mechanism in place. And so they dropped the plan. And so I don't want this idea of we're not offering these alternatives to continue on the floor, because we have offered alternatives. We had flexible spending account, we had medical reimbursement cards. We've done some of these things and did not see employee utilization of those products because they simply couldn't afford to give it away and wait to get it back. And so as far as wellness, that's a huge, huge project that we would love to implement. We would love to see it go forward. We wanted it this year, and time has gotten away. We're hoping in 2017 that is something the court will provide the necessary funding for us to do, because we do think 5 years down the road, we're going to see big savings in the insurance fund if we can start implementing some of these measures. But even though the county judge controls the health insurance product that is offered, the plan that is prescribed, she doesn't control funding, okay? And so we need a universal buy-in that if we're going to go a creative method, we have to have support around the table, outside of political sides. We have to have an around-the-board participation in that. It can't be done by one person. It takes financial support. Thank you.
To Lindsay, I know how hard Lindsay and her department have researched. I know they've gone to every corner to try to find ways to take care of this. She's worked with us very, very diligently, and I want to commend her for the hard work she's done. Thank you, Lindsay, very much for your time and your effort. Yes.
Ms. Huffaker, if you would do me the favor of bringing it forward, and I'll make sure that we get it in. Just tell me what we do, because I support you in this wellness program. And I thank you very much, and I commend you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
J.P. Dennis, do you want to be recognized now? Lindsay, why don't you just sit there for a minute, honey?
Thank you, Madam Judge. There's no reason to recognize me. What I wanted was more information than what we had, and I'm glad we're discussing it. I think it's important that we discuss it, and I'm also all for the wellness. Our company uses it, and we're a very large company, and it makes a huge difference if you participate in the wellness program. And also when I worked for Nestle, they used it as well. So I think it's a good thing and a good program. I'd love to see everybody give up tobacco. If I were king, I'd end it. I'd take it away.
Me too.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, George, you're recognized.
I had a telephone conversation with Nelson about 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Sit down through the mic so they can hear you.
He reminded me that this money needs to be in there by September the 10th. Can't hear?
It wasn't defeated. We didn't vote to end debate.
Oh, okay. I thought it had failed. Okay.
No,
Oh,
they're just wanted to have
Okay.
some more debate.
Good. Okay, great. Just a reminder, it's got to be in there September the 10th, because the excess carrier will be looking at it to quote our rate for our excess coverage. So.
Thank you, George. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion to?
It's been moved and seconded.
Okay, move to second. Carla, would you call the roll, please?
Daniel Balls?
Yes.
Harvey Bowman? Rick Cochran?
Yes.
Robert Dennis?
Yes.
Lisa Ecke?
Yes.
Ann Harbison?
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd?
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom? Eva Madison?
Yes.
Sue Madison?
Yes.
Joe Maxwell?
Yes.
Gary McHenry?
Yes.
Joe Patterson? Butch Pond?
Yes.
Bill Essery?
Yes.
This ordinance is adopted. Thank you very much. This is a short committee. Do I have any other business to come before this committee at this time? Do I have a motion to adjourn? I'm sorry, Rick.
I have a question as far as our budget meetings. We haven't got anything scheduled coming up through September other than just one special meeting, and kind of wondering when we're
Ms.
going to
Karen,
be going
you're
on
recognized.
those.
Before the night's over, we've got a calendar to hand you with 1,000 tentative budget dates. For y'all.
Hooray.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to love it.
It's hard to get 15 people to decide on any one night, but we're working on it very diligently. Okay, Carly, call the roll.
Wait.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor. All in favor.
We're out.
You just need a voice vote, Judge.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay.